Welcome to the Recharge Podcast, where we discuss everything life behaviors, experiences, decisions, and outcomes. Join us every Wednesday for different topics of discussion in everyday living and how to be a better you. Now, here is your host, Daryl, aka Quiet One.
Yes. Welcome to the Recharge. Yes, welcome to the Recharge, where we talk about various topics we encounter in our daily living, recharging you to think, act, and decide how to be a better you. We talk, you listen, you decide. I have in the studio my partner Christine with us today to participate in the discussion. So welcome, Christine.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Good. So, Christine, today we're going to talk about something that has influence on all of us. And it just so happens to be Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah, that's big.
Yes, huge. So did you know before COVID-19, 90% of adults experienced mental illness? Did you also know 60% of youth with depression did not receive any mental health treatment? And also 24% of adults with a mental illness reported an unmet need for treatment. These are huge stats. And so these stats come from this year, right? From a article called State of Mental Health in America from the Mental Health America organization. It is a national leading community-based nonprofit dedicated to helping all people achieve wellness by living mentally healthy lives. So today our topic is, how is your mental health? So how is your mental health? Or what do you think about when you hear the word mental health?
Well, mental health, I guess I didn't care. I didn't think too much of it. Now that it's in, like national conversation, I thought of like mental health more like, dealing with eating disorders, schizophrenia, PTSD, psychotic behaviors, paranoia, bipolar. I didn't think of it as like a, everyday thing that we have to work with.
Yeah. And I sort of felt the same way. I didn't think that way either. But generally for me, I am an optimistic person.
Yeah, you are.
Most of the time. So, however, I have my moments of depression and anxiety. I feel that I have my emotions can take over sometimes.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yes, you have. So this is what happens. What happens to me a lot of times, I get in my own head and I start to think things that affect my thoughts, and then my behavior changes, and lastly, my emotions change my mood. Mm-hmm. This can really change the course of my day. It can go from good to bad because I got in my own head and it changed my conversation and my mood. Mm-hmm. So everybody struggles with mental health of some sort. And it's not just for those who are clinically diagnosed, because we think that sometimes. We think that, people that are clinically diagnosed, they are the ones that are struggling with mental health, but we all struggle with mental health.
Absolutely, we do.
So everyday ordinary people like ourselves deal with mental health. So in those dark times, you have to be willing to open up to someone. You got to talk to somebody. This process is not easy by no means, because it takes you have to have courage. You have to be vulnerable, and you have to have the strength to do that, to take that time to say, hey, look, I'm struggling. And you can't, the military taught me this thing about, when you try to tough yourself through something, trying to be tough with it, this is not the time to buy into that expression, suck it up and move on.
Right, exactly. That's not helping the
That-
situation at all.
That is not a good thing to even say at
no,
all.
because you're not dealing with anything.
No.
We got to deal with this, okay? We got to deal with this head on, this mental health, as big or small as it is. We need to deal with it and stop pretending that things are going great and it's not.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't mean we stay paralyzed, though.
No, absolutely not.
We move through,
Yes.
right? So I've been reading on this book from this author. Her name is Amy Morin, and it's titled 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do. And I'm going to share some things she discusses in her book, which you may find helpful and you can use as a part of your strategy to help your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say a disclaimer here because, I'm not promoting her book, nor am I telling you to go and purchase it. I'm only sharing what has helped me and could, help you as well. So also, I am not, myself and Christine, we are not mental health professionals.
No, we're not.
If you need help on the professional level, you need to seek it. Please seek that help you need.
Yes.
And I'm only approaching this from a self-help strategy to help you coach yourself through your moments of depression or anxiety.
Yeah, and also, too, it's self-love. If you need that help, you need to go and love yourself enough to get you that help.
Yeah, for sure. So author Amy Morin, she gives some practicals from her book. These practicals are to help you identify where your mental health may need attention. This awareness gives you the opportunity to, make a shift in your cognitive behavior. So she goes through three things. One, she says thoughts. She goes to thoughts. She talks about behaviors, and she talks about emotions. So the first one she says about thoughts, for a practical, she says, you must identify irrational thoughts and replace them with more realistic thoughts. With the behavior, she says, you have to behave in a positive manner despite of your circumstances. Then she talks about on emotions, a practical would be control your emotions so they don't control you. So with that, on the first one, she said thoughts. You must identify irrational thoughts. What are irrational thoughts?
I'm going to tell you a story that is, a sad one, but it's actually turned out pretty victorious. But I was listening to an interview that Kevin Hines had given a while ago. He is a young man that actually just attempted to commit suicide. He was jumping off of the Golden Gate Bridge, and as he was going through this thought process and dealing with his emotions and his mental state, he was going through and he was thinking, if anybody would just stop and ask me how I was doing, I won't do this. Well, nobody did, so he wound up making that decision to jumping off the bridge, and he said in his story that once his fingers slipped from the rail, he realized in a split second that he made the wrong choice and he didn't want to die.
Right.
Well, victoriously, he did not die. So now he's using his life story to help people that struggle with depression and suicidal thoughts. So if you want to check his story out, his name is Kevin Hines, and he has a foundation called Kevin and Margaret Hines Foundation.
Oh, wow.
But I did learn something from that.
What's that?
That people are going through stuff and we do not know what people are going through. But if we just extend kindness to somebody, or if we notice somebody's going through something, maybe we should ask, hey, you know what? You're not the same. Or, hey, you don't look too good.
Right.
We may change in that split second somebody's actions.
Yes, for sure. So again, elaborating on those irrational thoughts, and thank you for that story. That was an excellent story to share.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thoughts of harming yourself or others, which he was going to do that. That gentleman she just spoke about, Kevin Hines. But also, you don't worry about things like finances, your job, family, friends, or the future. Think about the future. Also, fear and insecurities. You can have fear and insecurities. That's a big one for me. Fear is a big one for me. So I have to work on that really a lot of times.
Yeah, I know, because sometimes you can't sleep at night.
That's right. Then she talks about behaviors, right? She says, behave in a positive manner despite of the circumstances. This is not an easy task. Trying to make a mental shift from negative to positive. Mm-hmm. I think I shared you this story. You actually saw me in action. What happened to me was I was on the computer working, and I got news. I was working on a project, and with the project, I've had several edits on the project, and I was like, man, this is like very challenging. So I finished probably my fifth edit, I'm gonna say. And then, I get an email from my boss, and she goes, we got to go through this again. And I'm like, the notes, I get all these red hashes on my document. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So the first thing I was thinking in my head, I was like, my behavior was going to like, man, I'm going to a downward spiral, thinking negative. Like, what is going on with this? And so I had said out loud, and my wife heard me. I said, hey, I'm struggling here, right? I'm really struggling here, trying to figure out what's going on. And so I had to tell myself, I had to breathe, mm-hmm. right? Take a deep breath.
You had to walk away.
Mm-hmm. And tell myself, you're going to be okay. And don't take it personal. Right. Because they're just doing their job. Even though I have to, learn from those things, those mistakes, whatever it is, or what they wrote on that report for me to fix. So I had to shift gears from negative to positive. And that was my experience of what I encountered for myself. But there's many more stories that I could share. There's many more stories that we all encounter, that we go through mm-hmm. for my behavior. So, which leads me to the next one. Emotions. Mm-hmm. Man, my emotions, she says, control your emotions so they don't control you. And yes, what does it look like? It looks like anger, sadness, anxiety, and fear. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the big one for me is fear.
Yes, we had actually, if my son doesn't mind us sharing, but he was in just a slight accident the other night. And he called and he was trying to tell us what was going on. And as he was talking, I was just increasingly getting more anxiety, and my heart was pounding and my stomach was churning because I'm like, are you okay? Yeah. And so I had to calm myself down because he was already trying to, get his self under control and trying to figure it out. So my husband comes in, tries to help with, insurance and what he needs to do and all of that. So we both had to calm ourselves down to make sure that he was okay. The car, we're going to be taken care of. But then quickly, again, we're dealing with a mental, challenge. Right. Who's going to take care of this financially?
Right. Yeah. Who got this bill? Right.
Right. So anyways, we had to process that, but at the same time, just calm and settle our emotions down.
Yep. For sure. Good. So I just shared with you what she talked about, the 3 thoughts, behaviors, emotions. Now, the question is, what are you going to do with the takeaway from this message? What are you going to take away from this message?
It's time for Call to Action. This is where you decide on the takeaways from the message.
Yes. So what are you going to do with the practicals given? How will you apply what you heard today? Right? You have to remember you are in control of your mental health. You are in control. We can make better decisions when we think rational. When you think rational, you're going to be okay. It's when you think irrational is when things will happen. Again, I encourage you to seek professional help if you need it. And if you can't if you can't help yourself, I say to you, you need to do this. You can call the National Helpline for Mental Health and Suicide Prevention. And that number is 1-800-662-4357. Or you can go to the website of mentalhealth.gov and find the help you need there.
Or if you don't feel like you need that level of help, call a close friend, somebody that you trust. Talk to them.
Yeah.
Start talking. You got to open up and start talking.
Yep.
So that solutions can be figured out and plans can be implemented.
Right. So we hope you would take away from this podcast the message and take it further, and do that by sharing it with others. And if you like what you hear, I say please click and subscribe and stay connected. And, by staying connected, you're going to receive updated episodes. And we appreciate you listening to us. And we hope next time around you check us out our next episode. So until then, stay safe and stay charged up. And stay in peace, my friends.
You've been listening to the Recharge Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes or YouTube to get new, fresh weekly episodes. For more, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or visit our website at therecharge.net. Until next time, we talk, you listen, you decide.